Every talisman in Fromville is gone. There is not a single door, window, or wall the creatures cannot walk through now. And one of those creatures is Fatima, the woman Ellis married, the woman Boyd has thought of as a daughter since the beginning. How does the town survive even one night like this? Does Ellis look for her when the creatures come out? Or does he run? And is any part of who Fatima actually was still alive inside whatever she's become? Let's break down the most devastating starting point the final season has ever been handed. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing. We cover every confirmed detail in from the moment it drops, and the final season is going to need someone tracking every piece. Okay, let's start at the beginning of Fatima's arc, because the transformation in this finale didn't come out of nowhere. It was the end of a road that started years ago. When Fatima was first introduced in Season 1, she was described by people close to the show as a source of optimism in a town built on fear. She was the person who helped new arrivals find their footing. She showed up for people. She never made survival just about herself. That version of Fatima is the one Ellis fell in love with. That's the one Boyd came to think of as family. By Season 3, something changed. Fatima's pregnancy inside the town connected her to something the show still hasn't fully explained. And when Smiley was born from that pregnancy, the connection didn't end. She discovered she could sense Smiley through some kind of psychic tether, even see through his eyes, even slow him down in ways nobody else in the town could. She used that connection to save Kenny at a critical moment this season, but the physical cost was immediate. Strange markings began spreading across her body. Her heart rate dropped to levels that should have been unsurvivable. And then Clara gave her a drink, a herbal mixture laced with Sophia's blood, under direct instruction from the man in yellow. Whatever that tea was designed to do, it accelerated something that was already happening. By the time the Season 4 finale reaches its final act, Fatima already knows what's coming. She describes the actress playing her as having probably known way earlier than the final moment, but not wanting to believe it. She understood what she was. She just hadn't decided what to do with it yet. In the tunnels, with monsters closing in on Boyd, Ellis, Jade, and Tabitha, and no other option left, she makes that decision. She tells the group to remember who she was, and then she fully transforms. She faces the creatures herself, screaming at them in their own language, buying the people she loves the time to escape. Boyd has to physically pull Ellis away from trying to stay with her. That's where the finale ends for these three people. A husband dragged away from his wife, a father dragging his son out of the dark, and Fatima, standing in a tunnel, now one of the things this town has always used to hunt people down. Now here's what makes Season 5 genuinely different from anything this show has done before. For 4 seasons, the monsters have always been the enemy. They were dangerous, they were ancient, they were terrifying. But they were always separate from the people we knew. Fatima changes that permanently. Multiple post-finale analyses have noted this is the first confirmed case in the show's history of a known human character fully becoming one of the creatures. That shift doesn't just change Fatima's story. It changes everyone's understanding of what the monsters are. If Fatima can become one, if a person who was introduced as the town's most selfless resident can end up walking through the dark with Smiley at her side, then nobody in Fromville can look at those creatures the same way again. Every monster out there used to be someone. The show has hinted at that before. But having it happen to someone we know, someone Ellis knows by name, someone Boyd watched grow into a part of his family, makes it unavoidable. And then there's the talisman problem sitting on top of all of this. Sophia and Clara collected every single protective talisman in the town before the episode ended and dropped them all into the faraway tree. That's never happened before in this show's entire history. The residents have always had some level of protection, some rule that kept the creatures out of the buildings after dark. Season 5 begins with none of that, which means when night falls in the first episode of the final season, the creatures walk freely into every home, every room, every corner of Fromville. And one of those creatures is Fatima. She doesn't need to break down a door. She doesn't need to find a gap in the talismans. She can walk straight into Colony House. She can walk into the room where Ellis is sleeping. He has no way to stop her. He may not even be able to bring himself to try. Here's the rehook, because this question is the one nobody has been able to answer yet, and the creators are deliberately not answering it either. When Collider asked showrunner Jeff Pinkner directly whether Fatima's transformation is reversible, he said telling us would require giving away Season 5 spoilers. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just closed the door. And that silence is its own kind of answer, because it means the question of whether Fatima can be brought back isn't settled. It's still being written. Which opens up something even more complicated. If the cycle ends, if the children's bones are used the right way and the curse is finally broken, what happens to all the creatures? Do they stop being monsters? Do they remember who they were? Comic Book phrased the question better than anyone else in their finale coverage. If good people can become creatures, what does that mean for the final outcome? That's the real thread heading into the last 13 episodes. Not just whether the town can survive without talismans, though it genuinely might not. Not just whether Jade and Tabitha can figure out what to do with the bones, but whether the ending of this show is a rescue or a reckoning, whether the people trapped inside these creatures get to come home too. Pegah Ghafouri, in her post-finale interview, described Fatima after the transformation with a phrase that's going to stay with me for a while. She said, "A win is a win." She said Fatima is thriving. Not suffering, not lost. Thriving. Which suggests that whatever Fatima becomes in the final season, she isn't gone in the way the show might have us believe. She's just somewhere none of us have been allowed to see yet. So here's what we know about when we find out. Season 5 of From will consist of 13 episodes. Production is set to begin later this year in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where the show has filmed since its premiere on February 20th, 2022. No exact date has been set, but the expected window is sometime in 2027. The creators have described the final season as one where questions will be answered, answers will be questioned, and there will surely be a cascade of tears and terrors in between. Based on where Ellis is standing right now, that feels like an understatement. From remains the most watched series in MGM Plus history. And the final season is walking into the room with a monster who used to be family, a town with no defenses, and a bag of children's bones that nobody yet knows how to use. So tell me what you think. Can Ellis look at Fatima as one of those creatures and still see his wife? And is there any version of this ending where she comes back? Drop your read on it in the comments. I want to see what you think before a single frame of Season 5 exists. And if you want every update the moment the final season starts coming together, go ahead and subscribe. I'd really appreciate having you here for it. See you when the next piece of the puzzle lands.